A Football Friday edition of the Morning Minute. How are you? 5280 Sports Network, Nate Lundy, Shawn Drotar. Thanks for swinging by here. We don't have too many of these Football Fridays left, so we appreciate you stopping by, especially for this one. The Morning Minutes come your way weekdays. Shawn and I bring you the kind of news and notes of things going on around the Colorado sports scene, certainly around Denver as well, and occasionally nationally as some of those stories pop up. A handful of things to hit on here this morning. The Broncos coaching search continues, obviously. They will have the various interviews. Perhaps other names will be brought up. But one of the notes that has come up over the course of the last couple of days, our own Jake Marsing has talked about it. Alex Marvez of Sporting News and Sirius XM's NFL Radio has also talked about it. And it seems to be the general consensus out there, Shawn, that Wade Phillips will, when the new coach comes in, will not be kept around as defensive coordinator.
That's pretty shocking, especially if that coach ends up being Vance Joseph, the defensive coordinator for the Dolphins and former CU Buff quarterback. This is going to be a challenging one for Broncos fans to swallow if indeed that comes to pass, because you're talking about the architect of arguably the best defense the Broncos have ever had. You know, we're coming into the 40th anniversary of the famous Orange Crush defense of the 77 Broncos, and to see Wade Phillips perhaps move on with this defense still being very, very good. Some problems with the rushing defense, but the best overall pass defense in the league, including some injuries involved in the pass rush. That's a bitter pill to swallow for Broncos fans if that happens. There's a part of me that thinks it's almost so bonkers that I won't believe it until I see it, but that is everything we're hearing out of Dove Valley.
Yeah, it could be the move that gets made, and let's look at it this way. There's a lot of young talent there on that defense, and they may want to put a coordinator in place that might be there for an extended period of time. I think that if Wade Phillips were retained, it would be for another season, maybe two. And so perhaps the idea is to try to get somebody younger in there, or perhaps promote from within. We've heard Joe Wood's name brought up, the defensive backs coach, and the coach, obviously, of the no-fly zone, who a number of people, including Mike Kliss, has indicated that he thinks that ultimately Woods could wind up being a head coaching candidate in the NFL someday as well. So thought of very highly. There could be some moves done there. Let's slide over to the hardwood now. The Nuggets lose last night to the Spurs at Pepsi Center. But the thing that stood out to me was prior to the game, Michael Malone, who had called out the lack of veteran leadership earlier in the week after the loss to Sacramento, wound up apologizing to his veterans, which I got to be honest doesn't sit very well with me. I think that if you've got a problem with leadership, which I think all of us can see on the court, it appears to be happening within the locker room, although we are not privy to everything that goes on behind closed doors, then why the hell are you apologizing? Maybe it is something that needs to happen. Maybe you do need to light a fire under the team. And the last thing I want to see is less than 48 hours later, an apology coming to the veterans. It's a player-driven league. We know that with the NBA. But I don't like the idea of kissing the ass of these players and trying to tell them that, oh, no, I didn't mean it. You do have leadership. No, right now this team has problems. It has it in its young guys. It has it in its older guys. Stop apologizing for it and call these guys out. Some of the best coaches in any sport are guys that are willing to say when their team sucks and say when their team is good. And I think Michael Malone said exactly what he needed to say after the Sacramento game. And so less than 48 hours later for him to be apologizing, look, I'm not behind closed doors. Neither is Shawn. There could be a reason, an exact reason for why he apologized. And if there is, good for him. But on the surface, to the public, to the fans, it looks like crap. And I don't like it. I don't like the fact that he's apologizing to these guys. They need a fire lit under them. I know they're not a good team, but they're also only a game and a half out of being in the playoffs.
Yeah, well, you think I'm going to follow that? I'm not going to even attempt to follow that. But the truth is, they're a game and a half out of the playoffs, Nate, but they're 3 games away from being the worst team in the Western Conference. They're closer to being at the bottom in the cellar than they are.
I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it because I think this team that has a young set of players needs to make the playoffs because they need that postseason experience. Light a fire under them, Coach Malone. Don't be afraid to call them out because maybe they need that. Maybe that would actually help them out. And maybe it'll also trickle uphill to guys like Josh Kroenke and Tim Connelly who may recognize they need to do something to the roster in order for Coach Malone to win games and make it to the playoffs and bring some of that magic back to the Pepsi Center. You've also got the rumor mill out there, Gabe Landeskog's name being brought up as somebody that the Boston Bruins have interest in. We do know that the Bruins are a team that are very deep when it comes to prospects and also have a lot of picks, as you pointed out this morning on the radio show, Shawn. So the Bruins could wind up being a dance partner if, in fact, the Avalanche want to try to make a trade. I'm a big fan of the captain. I like Gabe a lot, as well as a lot of the players. But clearly, much like the Nuggets, something needs to get done.
Well, yeah, sooner the better. Obviously, the Avalanche have nowhere to go but up. They are dead last in the National League in points.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you go. It's a Football Friday. Enjoy the Wild Card weekend. If you've got the time, come join Shawn and I at Haters downtown on Blake Street on Sunday. We're going to be having a free, no cash, nothing, free daily fantasy contest for you on Sunday with the Wild Card games. The Haters opens up at 10 a.m. Just make sure you're there by 10:30. You can come down and join us, put together a lineup, win some great prizes. We hope you'll come down and join us and the rest of the 5280 Sports Network team. For Shawn, I'm Nate. Happy Friday.